All right, folks, welcome back in. This is JE Live, and we got a lot to talk about because the Rams signed 3 offensive linemen today, and we're going to talk about what they bring to the table, if we'll even see them, all of that. Before we get into it, before you do anything, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that you actually like this content so they can recommend it to other people. And furthermore, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I got the comments up here and everything. I do see what you're saying, so obviously I'll try and answer. I only have a little bit amount of time, so this wasn't going to be a long live stream, right? This is not going to be a long live stream. I wanted to talk about these guys. I wanted to go live because I'm going live after this, going right on NFC West roundtable. Okay, so that will start in about just a little bit under, 39 minutes. That'll start. So, all right, let's talk about it. The Rams signed today, Geron Christian. They signed Ty Nsekhe, who, if you thought he sounded familiar, it's because he is familiar. This is actually somebody that has been a Ram before. He was in the 2022 roster. So they signed him. They signed, of course, Christian, but they also signed Dylan McMahon, the 6th round pick out of NC State by the Philadelphia Eagles. They signed him off of the Eagles practice squad. So interesting stuff going on for sure. A lot of stuff to talk about. And obviously, what are the corresponding moves? We'll get into all that, right? So I have it all in front of me. We're going to go through it. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So let's start off with the Rams in their corresponding moves. So for those moves, the Rams, they terminated by club. This is what they called it. Terminated from practice squad Blake Larson and Jason Taylor II. Bummer, okay? I don't really know much about Blake Larson, but I can tell you Jason Taylor II, that was sad to see. I didn't like that, but for whatever reason, they moved on from him. Just like the same thing they did with Zach Evans. So that was like the first thing, right? Now, important to know, Nsekhe is going on the practice squad. There's one more spot open for another move. You'll see what that is when you see what it is. But they left a spot open for another move. They signed McMahon from the Eagles practice squad, which means he's going on the 53-man roster. Puka Nacua and Steve Avila are guaranteed to be on the IR. So those are 2 spots that are opening up. Would have to imagine one of those spots is going to be, of course, it'll be McMahon because they had to sign him off of the practice squad. But I think the other one is going to be Geron Christian. Daniel Barry Sports Highlights, thank you for becoming a rookie member. I appreciate you. So I wanted to be clear there, the direction they're going in. Essentially, I understand it's only a 53-man roster, and they signed 3 offensive linemen, and there are probably people like, what's going on? You know, why are they signing 3? Well, they're able to sign 3 because of the guys that they're going to free up putting on IR. That is the whole point there. So there's still a roster spot available, or a spot available on the practice squad. We'll see that in time. But talking about Geron Christian, this is a guy that is only 28 years old, okay? Actually, happy birthday to Geron Christian. Today is actually his 28th birthday. So what better to celebrate your birthday than being signed, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. Signing a contract on your birthday, I'll take it. But, looking at what he brings to the table, this is a guy throughout his career, he's given up 12 sacks in 1,142 reps and 1,077 of them in pass pro. So 12 sacks, 83 pressures, a 95.6 efficiency rating. So not awful, but not something that I'm like jumping for joy about. I think with Christian, he's a guy that has some potential there, a younger guy. They probably like something because they had a chance to see him last year when he was playing for the Browns. And against the Rams, didn't allow a sack against the Rams last year, allowed 4 pressures in that game in 46 opportunities. Last year, he gave up 4 sacks and 365 opportunities and 33 pressures. He had a 94.9 pass block efficiency rating. I'll be honest with you, not amazing, right? Not amazing at all. They clearly like the guy. He's 6'5", 298. They clearly like him. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I don't look at Geron Christian and think, yeah, this guy's a great pass protector. He's going to fit in like a glove. More so, I think the concerning thing about Geron Christian, and I don't mean to crap on the guy, it's his birthday, right? But thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. I don't know what THB is, but but thank you. Yeah, no, it's funny. Everyone went crazy. My eyes popped because I saw 400 out of the corner of my eye. But appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys supporting me. Robert, thank you so much. You're amazing too. So with Christian, I think you're getting a guy that is definitely a better pass protector than, a run blocker. I'll say this. If you're looking for anything to feel good about with Christian, there's a year when he played 335 snaps in 2021 with Houston where he only gave up 1 sack and 17 pressures. That's a 97.3 pass protector efficiency rating. So that's really good. But that was 2021. That's the only downside. So Christian is a tackle. Probably should have started off with that. He's a tackle. He's depth. Where does he play? He's predominantly a left tackle. Okay? That's where he's played throughout his career, and that's where I imagine he would play. He's been in the league since 2018, for those of you who are wondering. But he's played every single snap except for 125 at right tackle. He's played all the snaps at left tackle. So they went out and got a guy that is a backup, is good enough to be on a 53, not good enough to start, maybe still a little bit of a developmental guy. I don't want to say developmental, but maybe has some upside left. Maybe Ryan Wendell can get something out of him, being that he's only 28 years old. We'll see. But interesting, former 3rd-round pick by the initial, at the time, Washington Redskins, now Washington Commanders. 3rd-round pick in 2018, Geron Christian. So then they picked up Dylan McMahon off of the Eagles practice squad. And I'll say this. I don't know a ton about Dylan McMahon and what he did, right? I appreciate that, Robert. Absolutely appreciate it. It's funny, though, when it shows 400, everyone was like, 400, what? Jake, why are you not going too crazy about that? But, I mean, every little bit helps. I'll tell you that much. Appreciate it. Dylan McMahon. So I know who he is because I scouted him coming out of NC State. I didn't finish his scouting report, but I saw some things on tape. I wasn't blown away by him. Played center in the preseason. This is somebody that, obviously Eagles fans are really bummed that he's gone, like really bummed. They've voiced their displeasure. He didn't give up a sack in the preseason in 92 pass protection reps, and he only had 2 pressures given up. That's an 98.9 efficiency rate. Very good. All 157 snaps he had were at center. So that's something to keep in mind there when it comes to McMahon. This is a guy that, essentially he is a center. That's who they went out and got. And I think this is them telling us Jonah Jackson is going to remain at guard. Bo Limmer is going to be at center. And McMahon, who's going to be on this roster, will be the backup to Bo Limmer. And I like this, and I'm going to explain why. Just the idea of having a backup center that you're not just relying on Jonah Jackson, Remember 2022? This same thing that's happening right now actually happened in 2022, but there was one thing that they could have prevented that they didn't. And the reality is they had two centers in their starting five, right? They had Brian Allen, and of course they had Coleman Shelton. By having them both on the field, when your starter gets hurt at center and your starter gets hurt at guard, but your starting guard is your backup center, now you're down, whether you realize it or not, you're down to your third string center. So that's the issue, right? So McMahon provides some depth, but also think about this. He signed off the practice squad, right? He's 23 years old. He was from this draft. The Rams essentially just got another draft pick, guys. That's what happened. He's clearly a guy that they would have drafted too. They considered. He's a guy that they definitely considered drafting. So what did he do at NC State? Because I think it's fair. It was pretty recent, right? Wasn't that long ago he was in college. So what did he do at NC State? Well, his pass protection, and by the way, he played 684 snaps at center in 2023. He played 290 at center in 2022, 115 at left guard, 415 at right guard, okay? Then 2021, he plays 491 snaps at left guard, 313 at right guard. And then 2020, he plays 477 snaps at right guard, while 70 at left guard. And then his first year, 2019, he plays 100 at left guard. So this is a guy that is not just a center, although he only played center in preseason. He'll be cross-trained, and he's going to play all three of the interior spots. That's what's going to happen. And is he going to start? No, but he'll back up, and he'll be a guy that has... You know, this is what you talk about. The Rams are good at this. They find guys off of practice squads in the past. Marquis Christian, Blake Countess, also from the Eagles, and of course Darius Williams. They tried to sneak him on the practice squad. The Rams claimed him. So McMahon last year he's been pretty much like based on the college stats and everything. He's been pretty solid all around. A 97.9. Pass protection efficiency rating, according to PFF, when you accumulate his 2023 season all the way down to 2019. He gave up 62 pressures in 1,633 reps and only 6 sacks. He only gave up 2 sacks the last 2 years. So McMahon is a guy that Eagles fans are really pissed off that he's gone. A lot of Eagles fans thought that he was going to make the roster. Were surprised he didn't. Then thought he was going to get claimed and were surprised he actually made it through and got on the practice squad. And now they're pissed because the Rams just took him from their practice squad and he's going to be on the active 53-man roster standing at 6'4" and 305. Dylan McMahon is the one with the most upside of the three. Without a doubt. You're getting a guy who's coming from this 2024 NFL draft. That's really cool. I like that. The last but not least, Ty Nsekhe. And if he sounds familiar, he should. He was the Rams' emergency left tackle in 2022. He played 421 snaps for the 2022 LA Rams. I know quite often people forget about the job he did. He gave up 3 sacks, albeit that offensive line was patchwork as all hell. But he ended up with a 97.6 efficiency rating, and he's actually turned in a pretty solid career, albeit, with a 96.4 efficiency rating. Gave up 8 pressures in 231 pass protection reps. I don't think he was the best with the Rams, but I think he was underrated. And I think with him next to, a more healthier offensive line, he probably could have done something. So, yeah, this is somebody that has not really played since 2022. He has 1 regular season snap since the Rams. That's that 1 snap in 2023 with the Cleveland Browns, emergency left tackle. He was a 6th guy. So they brought in extra offensive linemen in a package against Seattle week 8 last year for the Browns, and that was Ty Nsekhe. For those of you who forgot, Ty Nsekhe is huge, okay? He is 6'8", 330. So he's depth. He's also on the practice squad. What does this all mean? Geron Christian is going to be depth at tackle, Okay, you're adding some depth at tackle. Now, McMahon is going to be depth in the interior. So you got your tackle depth, you got your interior. They added Nsekhe to the practice squad. They'll be using that. They can promote him, I believe, 3 or 4 times before they actually have to add him to the 53. And that's probably what they intend to do. I would imagine he gets promoted this week. You can never have too much depth, as we're learning right now, because the offensive line depth went from, wow, this is some of the best offensive line depth I've seen, to now, I mean, what can you do when guys like Avila are hurt and Havenstein doesn't play and Noteboom goes down and Alaric Jackson's suspended and Dotson leaves in a walking boot? I mean, there's so many injuries, right? So many. And it is a reminder, because people will say, wow, there's no depth on this team. This depth is terrible. This team is trash. That's not the case. What ended up happening is very simple, okay? What ended up happening is that they just had way too many injuries. This isn't sustainable, and it's not common. Let's understand that right now. This is not common practice. Normally, teams don't have injuries like this going into week 1 or going out of week 1. This is insane. So did the Rams want to sign all these guys? Probably not. I don't think they were dying to have to go out and sign Nsekhe, okay? Guy hasn't actually played legitimate snaps. We'll just say this, he hasn't played at left tackle since 2022. Since then, the Rams just had a 10-7 season last year. So that's a big deal. And then with Christian, I mean, Christian's somebody that, you know, last year, he actually played. Like, he had 604 snaps last year, and he played against the Rams. So they saw him in that game when Jedrick Wills was injured. They saw him. He started the Baltimore game week 10, the Steelers game week 11, the Denver game week 12, the Rams game week 13, Jacksonville week 14, Chicago week 15, Houston week 16, Jets week 17, and Cincinnati week 18. He did not play, however, in the playoffs. He did not see playing time then. So that's the fact. They brought in guys that some have experience, some don't. Nsekhe has plenty of experience. He has over 2,000 snaps under his belt, and recent experience, reason why he's on the roster, Geron Christian can help you. I'm not saying he's going to be amazing, but recent experience means he can get out there and help, right? Dylan McMahon can help, and he's worthy of a 53 roster spot, but the Rams clearly like this guy more in the long term. And they're also they're having a marriage between the long term and the short term. They're like, hey, this guy can help us with depth, but we can also go out and get this guy, and he can make us better down the road. And so when you're able to do something like that, that helps a ton. So right now, in case you guys were wondering how it looks, the Rams currently, their offensive line is at left tackle. I guess by default, it would be Warren McClendon Jr., right? Left tackle, Warren McClendon Jr., at left guard, Jonah Jackson, at center, Bo Limmer, at right guard, Kevin Dotson, at right tackle, Rob Havenstein. That's if the back 2 guys play. If Havenstein and Dotson don't play, things are going to get kind of crazy. But McClendon Jr. at left tackle, okay? Jackson, Limmer. Those 3 guys are locked in. So what do you do about the guard and the tackle spot if Dotson and Havenstein are out? Logan Bruss is going to kick in at right guard. And then at right tackle, that's where it gets interesting. And the reason I say that is because Christian has really only played left tackle. He only has 125 snaps at right tackle. So would have to imagine, as crazy as it sounds, Geron Christian would be in line to start at left tackle, and Warren McClendon would be at right tackle. So left tackle, Geron Christian, right tackle, Warren McClendon Jr. Not the most ideal scenario, but the Rams don't really have a ton of options here, okay? And now, I'll say this. I absolutely would have loved David Bakhtiari. I would have loved DJ Humphries. The reality of the situation is this, okay? they probably don't want to pay those guys. They probably don't, these guys are probably holding out for contracts. They're too good not to hold out for contracts. And the Rams are like, yeah, we don't really want to pay you that much. That's probably what's happening. And that's okay. I mean, this is a business. It's not a shock, right? So that is, on that front, that's what's happening. But now, like, behind Bo Limmer would be Dylan McMahon. Behind left guard Jonah Jackson, that's where you're in trouble because there isn't a guy. So you'd probably have to call up a guy off the practice squad, and you don't have a ton of elevations either. So that's something to keep in mind. But I think when you look at this offensive line, is it perfect? Absolutely not. It's not perfect. It is not perfect at all. But you do have a quarterback in Matthew Stafford that can make plays with his legs. He can stretch plays. He has mobility. And that is going to be a key here. What I said on DTR is that this isn't sustainable, what happened this past Sunday night, because it's not. You can't just assume Matthew Stafford is going to play backyard football every time there's pressure and play at that level where you're able to have you're throwing with accuracy and touch and, being able to move the football and throw it on target. It's not, Stafford's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it's not sustainable to play like that the whole year. Here's where my optimism comes in. The Rams just have to get through this week. If they get through this week with Havenstein, Dotson healthy, whether they play or not, they're healthy, and Jonah Jackson's healthy and Bo Limmer's healthy, well, guess what? Week 3, they get Alaric Jackson back from suspension. They could use Alaric Jackson. Even a not fully prepared Alaric Jackson would be huge right now at left tackle. Huge. 28 pressures, given up, only 1 sack. He was actually really good last year. Really good. So that's how I look at it, guys, is that I understand people are going to be, clamoring for this and that and be concerned. But this week, if you take down Arizona and you've had your fair share of success against Arizona, then that 49er game, the home opener, you get your left tackle back. If you have some sort of bill of health this week by the graces of God, then you're going to go into week 3 against the 49ers with a fighting chance. Genuinely speaking, they don't need everything to go their way. They don't. They're a talented team, very talented, and you saw what they did to the Lions. They were in that game the whole way through. That wasn't just it's week 1. No, the Rams are legit. I can't stress that enough. And also, for the people that are concerned about Puka Nacua, I would just say this. Puka Nacua, this is how I would look at it. Puka Nacua is going to get time off. So he's going to be wicked fresh down the stretch. But he's going to get time off to rehab this injury, all of that. He's going to go through the bye. He'll come back week 7. And while he's waiting to come back, do you know what will be happening? They'll be giving invaluable reps, real game reps with the first team offense to guys like Demarcus Robinson, who can be the 2. Tyler Johnson can be the 3. I don't know if you guys saw the Sean McVay show, but very interesting stuff. How they mentioned Sean McVay. Oh, yeah, it's going to be Tyler Johnson and it's going to be Jordan Whittington. And he said, yeah, also Tutu Atwell. Yeah, the game plan took us away from Atwell, and we're going to definitely try to get him involved. And that, I love hearing that because all these guys complement each other well. Now, currently on the roster, the Rams have 5 receivers. What do they want to do with that? Do they want to add Xavier Smith to the roster? Personally, I don't think they can. I think they're trying to do a lot here in fixing the offensive line, and that's their priority. I don't think you can have it however you want it. You can't have it every way. That's the sad reality. So maybe you cut Cody Schrader, maybe you cut an Elias Neal. That could give you some roster space, but it's not a guarantee, and I'm not necessarily advocating for it either. So right now, the Rams have some things they need to get figured out, but at the same time, you should feel good about what you're seeing based on the fact that on Tuesday, they went out and they made sure to go out and get some guys to help on the offensive line. And again, folks, I can't stress this enough. Guess what? Everyone can come back. Why does no one talk about that? None of these are season-ending injuries. They all could have been season-ending. Are you kidding me? They all could have been season-ending. We had no idea what happened to Steve Avila. That could have been an ACL. I mean, we watched Puka Nacua go down non-contact. That could have been horrible. Horrible. And the best-case scenario happened. It was a PCL injury. Now, no injury is the best-case scenario, but that wasn't realistic. He got carted off after going down with a non-contact injury. That almost never goes in your favor. So while the Rams feel like they've been cheated by the football gods and the injuries are absolutely insane, and I'll totally agree with you for that, totally. It's unfair. But at the same time, none of these guys are out for the year. And as a matter of fact, none of these guys are out for long periods of time. Sounds like everyone will be back at least around the bye. And maybe that's a blessing. This team is, I told you, this team's deep. Bo Limmer getting reps at center, invaluable. You're telling me Bo Limmer is he's going to be playing until week 7? Guaranteed? If he stays healthy? That's a big one. I mean, Jordan Whittington. So now you're telling me that your 2024 roster, your 2024 draft picks, Jared Verse is starting. Braden Fisk is starting. Your 6th round rookie, Bo Limmer, is starting. Jordan Whittington is going to have a role, your 6th round wide receiver. Right? Brendan Jackson was a healthy scratch. He'll get in there. Tyler Davis, active, 6th round pick. Like, this is good stuff. Cam Kinchins is already a part of the defense. Like, this is real good stuff. Josh Carty is kicking your field goals. I mean, Blake Corum is... Who would have thought Blake Corum's the only one that potentially might not have action the first 2 games? We don't know. I think a lot of the problem was when the offensive line started to get ravaged by injury. They were already pretty ravaged going into it, but, you know, when that happened, I mean, at that point, I think you could really say that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think when you look at this team, there's a lot to like. I understand the frustrations. I see the comments, and I see a lot of comments, a lot of them. And it's season's over, something to that effect. Season's over, mail it in. We don't have any depth. Team has no talent. I mean, guys, I understand it's frustrating. It's week 2. And I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at, you know, the schedule. I don't have it up my, you know, in front of me. I'm just saying I'm looking at it. I don't know why I'm saying that. But anyway, you look at the schedule, right? You got the Lions, the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Bears, the Packers, and a bye. Now, when that first bye came out on the schedule for week 6, I thought, wow, that's a disadvantage. And now I'm thinking that could be everything. Having a week 6 bye could be the thing this team needs. And that's the beauty of it. So they will have that week 6 bye. And I think they go into the bye at least 3-2. Because hear me out. It's not being a homer. I don't want to even hear it. I don't want to hear it. Arizona, they have absolutely dominated in the series since Sean McVay's become the head coach. Am I wrong or am I wrong? So they've dominated them. Kyron Williams has been a total menace in Arizona. Total menace. So you have that. And Cooper Kupp has done things to Arizona as well when he's healthy. And obviously Matthew Stafford. And the defense, the way they played against a really good Lions offense, Arizona might have some exciting pieces on the offense. They're not the Lions. So I think the Rams are going to go in there and they're going to win 27-13. And then I think week 3, they might lose that game to the 49ers. It depends on if those guys are healthy that need to be healthy, and then they get Alec back and how well Alec plays and all of that. But I'll be honest with you. They don't need to beat the 49ers. It would be great. We'd love it, but they don't need to. It's not mandatory. They'd be 1-2. It would suck for a little bit. Then they'd go to Soldier Field, and they would absolutely abuse Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is not going to match up well against this defense. I'm telling you that right now. I watched him against Tennessee. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a good quarterback in this league. He's got a ton of weapons, but Tennessee gave him fits. He won the game because of his defense. So Caleb Williams in week 4, and then week 5, I don't care if Jordan Love is healthy or not. Jordan Love isn't going to literally be healthy. He's going to be banged up, and it's going to be the fact that he's been a little rusty. He hadn't played in a little bit. So if Jordan Love plays or doesn't play, I mean, if he doesn't play, that could be, they could boat race the Packers. But that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that I don't really see a scenario where the Rams don't at least win 3 games out of those. The Rams are clearly better than the rest of the teams, there. I mean, if you really think about it, aside from the 49ers going into the bye, the Rams are better than every team they're going to face. So why shouldn't they win 3 of those? 3 of the next 4. Then you have a bye. Then you go up against the Raiders. I mean, are you scared of the Raiders? Because I'm not scared of the Raiders. Like, stranger things have happened, and I get that, but not scared of the Raiders. I just, I don't know, not scared of them. But then they have Seattle, then they have Minnesota, and that's at SoFi. And Minnesota's defense could be a problem. I think Sam Darnold will be figured out by that point. He also doesn't get a chance to play the Giants every week. And then you have the Seahawks, and I think the Rams will be able at SoFi Stadium to beat Seattle. And then you got the Dolphins, and I'm not overly impressed with the Dolphins. They have some pieces, and Tyreek Hill could be a problem, but I mean, I don't think Jacksonville's that great, and the Dolphins kind of were running in place for most of that game. Then you have week 11 versus New England. We'll see what New England is by week 11. I mean, I thought it said more about the Bengals than it did about the Patriots week 1. Good win, though. The Eagles, week 12, that could be a problem. Week 13 against the Saints. I mean, we'll see. When the Saints play a team other than the Panthers, we'll find out what they are. The Bills could be interesting. Week 14 matchup. The 49ers, week 15. The Jets, week 16. I mean, that Jets team should be a lot better than it was week 1, but, I mean, they should beat the Jets. And then the Cardinals, and then the Seahawks. And people are trying to tell me, because they have all these injuries, even though none of them are even, like, all of these guys will be back before the middle of the year or around the middle of the year. So even despite all of that, there are people that are saying and acting like the Rams are going to win 7 games. I don't get it. If Matthew Stafford goes down, that's different. But based on the way it is right now, that's insane. They're not winning 7 games. They're going to be in the playoffs. Unless injuries just absolutely take over their season the way 2022 did, and they lose Stafford, they lose Kupp and all those guys. If that happens, fine. I'll wave in the white flag. I'll be upset at the football gods, but I just don't see that. I don't see that. So anyway, I like the pickup a lot. I will say this. Roundtable's getting close, so if you guys haven't already and you want to continue hanging out, I'm going to be over on the NFC West Roundtable, and I am going to drop in the description here, or the comment section, I am going to drop the link to it. So we got the week 1 recap video. And there you go. That's the link. I'm going to pin it. And I want to see if there's a way I can I don't know if there's a way to redirect, but I hope everyone joins me over on Roundtable after this wraps up, because I would love to keep to have you guys around, you know? Oh, there we go. All right, cool. So this, after I finish this, we'll redirect everyone over to the Roundtable. It doesn't start right away. It's at 9, so when I do end this, that's what will happen. But, you know, want to have the Rams fans rep, because there's always a poll on the NFC West Roundtable, and it's like, oh, who's gonna have the most fans in there? The Rams always win, so I want you guys to represent. Looking forward to having you all, and yeah, the make the Rams great again. I love when Rams fans panic. Yeah, I know, it's only week 1. It's only week 1. I like all the, and let me just make that clear, I like all the additions. I like what they did. I thought it was smart. Go out and get some depth. Go out and get a combination. Oh, you like that guy in the draft? You thought he had great potential, and you've always liked him, and maybe you would have even drafted him if the Eagles didn't get him. Well, he's available. He's on the practice squad. He can help you now, and he can help you, you know, down the road. Love the McMahon pickup, because clearly they like the kid a lot, and I like that. So I like the McMahon pickup a lot, and I like the I like Nsekhe. I've always liked Nsekhe. I think it's funny how, you know, Nsekhe was a guy that was on the Rams practice squad back in 2012, and then he joins. Isn't football funny the way it works? Then 10 years later, he's starting for the LA Rams. So the St. Louis Rams, he's on the practice squad in 2012. And then 10 years later, he's starting for the LA Rams. And then 2 years after that, he's back on the Rams. And this guy's, what, 39? Gotta love it. And then Geron Christian, I mean, you know, this is a guy that they probably were interested in 2018 draft when they drafted Nopum in the 3rd round. Isn't that funny? Actually, you know, just for the heck of it, he was drafted 74th overall. I got to look it up now. So the Rams took Nopum 89th. So Geron Christian was drafted 15 picks before Nopum, and now here he is essentially, you know, taking over. So it is potentially taking over. So that is kind of funny. There is kind of a funny dynamic there to an extent. But yeah. It's definitely, it's not ideal. You don't want to be making this many signings before the season or before the season really kicks off, but they don't have a choice. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it. I got to get over to NFC West Roundtable. And hopefully you guys join me. We'll be redirecting it over. So as soon as this ends, you'll go right over to NFC West Roundtable, and do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And when I send you over to the Roundtable, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a live stream. So that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys soon. Well, I'll see you guys there, hopefully. Definitely check out the NFC West Roundtable. And I am redirecting you now.